Okay, if you really need the review for lines, you're in the right video. So I'll do a really quick review. So remember that lines have a particular form, and they have the form of y equals mx plus b. Okay, whoops, messed up. Plus b. Okay, so here, this m, okay, this is what we're gonna call the slope. Okay, and this b is what we're gonna call my y-intercept. Okay, and what basically a y-intercept is, it's where it crosses the y-axis. So the line crosses the y-axis. Okay, so that's basically what what a y-intercept is. Now my slope, the way that we usually categorize my slope is with the rise over the run. So we can also say the change in y, so how much y is changing. So change in y divided by my change in x. So how much is x and y changing? Okay, now if you remember, slopes can have different forms. You can have something that's going upward, something that's going downward, okay? Something that's not going anywhere, it's just horizontal, and something that's just going up and down, okay? Now, these are different types of slope. Notice that for this one, as my x is increasing, so is my y. So here we call this a positive slope. Here, as my x is increasing, my y is decreasing. So here we have a negative slope. Okay. Here, as my x is increasing, my y is not doing anything. So we have a zero slope. Here, as my x is not increasing at all, but my y increases, that means that we have an undefined slope. Okay. So the one that I really want you guys to know is basically the positive and the negative, because we're going to see that a lot. Okay, a little bit of the 0 too. Hardly any of the undefined. Okay, so how do we usually find the equation of a line? Well, the first thing that we want to know is to find the slope of a line. So in order for me to do all of this, I want to be able to find the slope. And the slope, we usually call it m. And it's what we say, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's how we find the slope of a line. Okay, so if I give you 2 points, so let me give you an example. Say I give you the points 2, 1, and I don't know, 4, 8. Okay, so what is this really, what is this telling us? Well, these 2 points are going to lie if I were to plot them on an x and y plane. So let's say this is 2, 1, and here was 4, 8. I need to find a line that crosses through both of them. Okay, and the one way that we can do it is finding the slope. So the slope is going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so I can just put any x1 and y1 that I want. So these don't really matter. Okay. So what I'm going to have on the top is going to be 8 minus 1 divided by 4 minus 2. This is going to give me 7 over 2. So this is going to be my slope. So what this means is that as y changes 7 units, my x value is going to change by 2 units. So for every increase in 2 units, my y value is going to change by 7 units. Okay, so on and so forth. Okay, so now what we want to do, let's find the equation of a line. So we know that the equation of a line is y equals mx plus b. So let me write that down. So we know that this is y equals mx plus b. We already found our slope, which is 7 over 2. So we know that this is y equals, let's use Brown, 7 over 2. Oh, didn't do it. Okay, 7 over 2. Okay, and then x plus b. Now we want to figure out what my y-intercept is. Okay, so I can plug in any value for x and y. So I can just use these numbers, for example, 2 and 1. I could also use 4 and 8 if I wanted to. So y is 1, 7 over 2 times 2 plus b. Notice that the 2's are going to cancel out. I get 1 equals 7 plus b. When I subtract the 7 over, okay, so I'm going to have 1 minus 7 equals b. So b is going to be equal to negative 6. Okay, so my equation of the line equation is now going to be y equals m, which is 7 over 2, x plus b, which is a -6. So this is my equation of the line. Okay, so this line is going to contain both of these points. Okay, so if I were to graph this line, okay, what this -6 is telling me is that I'm down in the y-axis. I have -6 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here's -6. I'm going to put a little dot there. Okay, this is telling me the rise over the run, right? So this was rise over run. That means I'm going up 7 units. Up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I'm going to go over 2 units. 1, 2. Okay, so, and this is going to be my equation, my line itself. Okay, so graphically, that's what it looks like. Okay, so there's many different ways you can do it. If you had a negative, if this was to be negative, then it would be going downward. But I wanted you guys to really be able to recap what all of these things are, because we're going to be doing the interpretation of all of these lines. So hopefully this helped in terms of reviewing of lines.